Okay.
She says she knows, but I'm not sure she does. Welcome to your daily dose, Susan and Karen and me, Dr. Robert here. We are doing something pretty special today. We're talking about Boys of Summer Third Base. The headline that Boys of Summer Third Base will be premiering, I should say, at the World Parkinson's Congress in May of 2026 this year, a few short months away. A little background on this. The films are now four deep and 25 years long because my dad and I actually shot the first one in 2004, so I guess 21 years, but he was diagnosed 25 years ago. First Boys of Summer, 2004. 2014, the second film, Second Base. 2020, the third film, Shortstop. We're rounding the bases. Hopefully, everyone sees that by now. And now, 2026, we are at third base. And this film is different than the first three in its approach. And I'm very proud of it in that regard. And, kind of without saying too much about it, just we'll tease the audience in that regard. It's not going to look like the first three films by design. And I'm very, very hopeful and excited for what it looks like and how it's responded to. Susan and Karen were both at the shooting of the main event that made up the fourth film, Third Base, and also have seen the rough cut of it, the finished product. They won't see until May. So what we're doing today to let everybody out there know a little more about it is playing a few songs. Our dear composer, Will Townsley, great friend, has been involved with all of these documentaries. He and I collaborated on a litany of songs for the film, and I selected three today from it that, to me, set the table and sometimes propel forward the emotion of what we're doing, which is different than a straight documentary of people talking, discovering whatever. This is meant creative, metaphorically, and otherwise to highlight the things that I think are beyond the literal. And thankfully, documentaries have graduated to allow that. The days of
Expanded, yeah.
the days of seeing a documentary as a straight talk to you type thing have long since passed. So, at any rate, with that long setup, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play the first song. And Karen and Susan are going to react to it. The first song is a number called "Dad Was," rather, I say, "Missing the Man." This is "Missing the Man," and this is a reflection of a poem, a poetic statement, I should say, from my dad, and his reflection back to me. When I asked him, I said, "Do you miss going into the city on the BART train like you used to for your morning commute?" Because it was, it was a very ritualistic thing. And he worked as a municipal bond trader. And he looked at me and said, "No, but I miss the man who used to do it." And with that, I give you the song that was created from that moment. He said, "No, but I miss the man who used to do it."
10-car train for San Francisco Daly City in 11 minutes.
There once was a man who wore a dark suit on the morning train to the city. He worked in tall buildings, he flew off to New York. He was young, agile and witty, and in his heart he thought he'd live forever, since forever was so far away. Now the dark suit is gone, he misses himself and he wonders about today. He ran for miles, got crazy with friends. He was known as the life of the party. He cooked for the family, loved work in the yard, couldn't wait for the day to get started. When a dull kind of stillness swept into his body, slowly crept into his soul. The man in the dark suit, drifting away, his new self unknown. He's missing the man isn't missing, he simply got on new clothes. He's missing the man, and it's inside he's wishing he didn't know all that he knows. While ignorant bliss seems such a gentle kiss, its true self is never that pretty. He's missing the man that rode to work on the train in a suit to the city. The street lights are burning, he follows their glow from darkness to daylight, unleashing a flow. It's time, his time. He's missing the man, but the man isn't missing. He's learned to move a new way. He's starting to see the world in its stillness and feel every inch of the day. Though the dark suit is gone, the spirit is strong. Yeah, the story is a long way from pity. He's more than the man who once rode the train in a dark suit to the city. Yeah, he's more than the man who once rode the train in a dark suit to the city.
Yeah, give it up.
All right. So we're back. You tell me, what did you see? What do you notice? What do you feel?
Let's see which one of us can get rid of her tears quick enough to talk.
Yeah, it just layers upon layers for reasons for those tears. But yeah, you had a lot more life to live past the man with the dark suit in the city, and you showed it. And the way you showed it with, the imagery with the lyrics was perfect, right down to the melody that Will put into the end there. That just
So beautiful. Yeah.
there's so much
like what you
feeling
said, Karen.
in the way the music goes like this that adds to it. And the years that you guys worked together on so many documentaries really shine brightly when it's your own family. And the nostalgia of the BART train, for me personally, is a lot,
Yeah, Susan?
Karen, you said something about you like the way that he put it together, and the fact that we got to see Dan through the years. It was like showing us who the man was that rode that train, and as his Parkinson's progressed, he was still that man, and you had video to show us him, boxing and being out there and doing stuff, going to ball games and stuff. And I think there are a lot of lyrics that really are beautiful and perfect. But the one that says the man isn't missing is the one that just like...
Yeah. It means a lot to me. Thank you both for what you said, that you recognize, some of the small details in here that hopefully become universal, because it's very important that, this is not a story about me and my dad. This is a story about humanity and identity, loss and courage, in the face of very difficult circumstances, family, all those things. And, Dad is a great example of, similar to our good friend Wayne, who has this poetic nature, both of them do, and yet are sharply unaware of it, right? They offer things and you go, oh, and they go, what? And you go, oh, and they go, what? And this is where our greatest gift, and this is what I feel the documentaries are in many ways, and it shows up in a couple ways in that piece right there: reflection, mirror, right? There are two shots that my dad took, and I actually did one homage to that in the first film, where he took a picture of himself, in the glass, as it were.
Oh,
Dad
yeah.
was a good photographer. He was one of those early adopters, had an old Pentax 35. And, I remember it was a total mystery to me what he was doing, f-stops and figuring out focal lengths and right lenses. And, I had no idea, it wasn't until, little Instamatic camera came along that would dare to take a picture back in the day, right? But Dad could shoot with these long lenses and get these things in interesting, creative ways, and never took a photography class.
Yeah.
You know, he self-made, in that regard, interested. So I'm going to figure it out. That's at the heart of who he is. And that's, I think, the encouragement, like you said, Susan, want to bring forward. He may be missing the man, but the man isn't missing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And Will starts off singing about living forever. We all kind of think we're going to live forever when we're younger and we're healthy and we don't have anything going on.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember exactly how he refers to the Parkinson's as like little droplets or something
Yeah.
showing up
Yeah.
in his body, and it's not that pretty. And we could all relate, but those of us who are in that secret club that we wish we were not members of.
Yeah, where the slowness creeped into his soul. I think that's
Yeah.
where it's going to hit us all,
Oh,
right there, because we feel it.
Yeah.
I see that, and I've been feeling it heavily this 10th year thing. And yeah, anybody that's had this for a little while that's where it's going to be universal. There's lots of places, but that one thing right there is just.
I think
I
you're
hate
right.
that.
And a slowness, it does creep up on you. You don't realize that's what's happening, and you don't realize that it's a symptom of a disease.
Right. Well, and it's not, this is the big thing that people need to recognize. And it's, as you both know, much of what the documentary is about. It's not just the physical slowness we're talking about. And in fact, to a person, you two have said it, and pretty much everyone, because I keep bringing it up, and they all reflect the same thing, that the psychosocial emotional is far greater an issue when you talk about slowness than the physical. The physical sucks, but it's manageable in some regard. The mental, psychosocial, emotional is such a mystery, and it's such a question, and it affects you it ripples in so many ways, right? And it's harder to describe. Yeah. Right. But that's good.
Or before, med time. That's what I'm going to face first, long before the physical symptoms are going to show, and try and explain that to somebody, unless the people know, themselves that they've experienced it. Trying to explain that to the outside world is the hardest.
And yet the way it affects you, Karen, or Dan, or me is completely different. So you would explain your experience, and people wouldn't necessarily connect with that, especially someone who doesn't.
Yeah, that's a big part of the confounding part, because in most medical situations, you're relying on a doctor as a guide, right, to be able to tell you, well, he, she, or they don't know, is the truth. They know parameters, but the only person who really knows is you. And if you don't have the language for it because, you're going through it, and really, what language is there for it?
No kidding. Yeah,
right. The really small subset, honestly, that has the best to do it. And I just had the thought now that there probably should be more work. Is there are a handful of doctors out there with Parkinson's. And I just interviewed one the other day, and she was wonderful. And those people who have the mix of the clinical and the actual goings on, it'll still be, N of one, because it's their Parkinson's, but at least there's a pathway in, because those are the people who have the language and the experience to try to, right?
They have to believe in the potential. And if they can't even accept that, they'll never get there.
Yeah.
Once they could believe in the potential, the vastness of the way it manifests. But it's so cool because in the song, you talk about your dad wanting to fill every inch of the day or something.
Right.
And how that changed for him with golf and with running and stuff.
We're back.
A son who helped him be able to be himself as much as he could.
Well, yeah, be himself and discover new ways to be himself.
Yeah.
That's been the consistent push, right? That's what the documentary series, when another thing comes up, it's another push forward. It's another opportunity. It's another challenge. None of it's what you'd ask for, but that doesn't matter. That's where acceptance kicks in. The sooner you can get to acceptance, the sooner you can get to, okay, what am I going to do about it? And, I was reflecting on Shortstop, which is the one we're going to be screening throughout the States over the next couple months. And anybody watching this and wants to see it, go to the website. We can get you the link, and you can have an online screening, an in-person screening, a hybrid type thing. That's all happening in there. Susan, you were a big part of putting forth this part. My dad struggled to accept mobility devices, right?
Yeah.
The stigma, his pride.
Yeah.
And I was reflecting on part of that just today, as a matter of fact. And we did work with the mobility company. Susan and I did, and produced, because they were so impressed with that part. It just happened to fit that. And the messaging, as I was speaking to Harry Starkey, the new president of PANC, when I was sharing that part of it with him, he said, I really get that. I get that challenge, because he used the word burden. He said, I don't want to be a burden to my wife. And so there's that desire on the one side. And then there's the pride that says, I don't want other people to take pity on me or notice. So I'm going to, understandably, pretend I don't have it, even when I'm stumbling. And that's when people go, oh, you need help. And then you're like, get away from me. And it's like, well, if you use your mobility device, then maybe I'd get away from you. It's that really tough conundrum.
Yeah. And the company was Nova, the
That's right.
mobility company. So I had a lunch with the gentleman I just met for lunch with a friend in common the other day. And he refers to his, and maybe this is what it's called, a glider. He calls it it looked like, is that an official?
I think it is a product name.
Okay, because it was like his buddy. It was like his companion. He didn't trust himself without it. And I remember your dad when it first came up, and he was like, "No."
Yeah.
And then I don't know if you told him that that he was going to be given this thing. It was going to arrive, or whether it was a surprise. And then there's this scene of him walking with it in the third movie, right?
Yeah, that's the arc, right? The
Fast,
no.
walking down in that stadium is pretty cool.
Well, that's the unlocking, right? That's the piece that says once you accept, there is actually more for you. In that same movie, remember that Dad in the beginning almost said no to going to that epic weekend with me and Giuseppe to Dodger Stadium and Petco Park and camp with the Scouts, because he thought it might be too much. And it was like, well, if you accept a wheelchair, I bet this won't be as bad. And by the way, I wasn't the only one pushing. 8-year-old Giuseppe was pushing too, which was so important.
And that probably made it more worthwhile for your dad that his grandson was involved like that.
I think
But
so.
to talk about the psychosocial emotional stuff. Here's your dad rejecting it's like Doris didn't want to see things that were hard for her to see. And now she realizes she's in the category, and we're all in the category of not being in control of how much we're moving or whatever it is.
Yeah. And, to me, that pushes us back to identity again. And, where we are, all of us, disease state or no, re-identifying our identity in the world all the time, through physical appearance, through ways in which we approach or hide from relationships, through activities we choose to do or not. All of those things affect our identity, affect our confidence, affect our ability to receive the gifts of the world, or choose to believe they simply don't exist when they're sitting there going, pick me up when you're ready. Right?
Robert, I remember your dad used an expression that I didn't really know very well. I think it was self-efficacy.
Yeah.
Is that similar to self-confidence?
Similar, efficacy is more about your ability to be complete. That you are autonomous, right? You can do things
Okay.
on your own. Confidence is the behavior. Efficacy is the belief, right?
Okay.
To achieve self-efficacy is there. Confidence is, part of what builds toward that. So yeah, that was a term that came a lot up in my research, was because it is a clinical goal of people. If you can help them achieve self-efficacy, they can have an improved quality of life. That's the idea, and that's a large part of our improv and storytelling programs is to increase those things.
Yeah. And it showed up in the first song that you just played for us in
Yeah,
discovering he was more than a man.
more than the man that he used to believe himself as, and
Yeah, his identity included
that's
that
it.
train. And
Exactly right. If and I mean, I can speak to that in a different way. Again, different, but when I graduated high school, my first, I'd say 13 of my first 18 years were tied into being an athlete. I After every single class, from probably fifth grade on, I was going to some sport to play because that's who I was. And I told the time of year based on was it football, basketball, baseball, or eventually track. Those were the seasons more than fall, winter, summer, and
right.
spring. And my senior year, when track, ended, it was shocking. Who am I? Because a previous
Wow.
part of myself thought, I'm going to go on to play college football. That died about my junior year, even though I kept playing football. It's like, yeah, this isn't working out. And a piece of me tried to play college basketball, and I wasn't, up to snuff there. But the fear was, okay, who am I? I'm missing the man, or the young man in this case, that used to, be identified as an athlete and wore a uniform. It wasn't a dark suit, but it was a uniform and had a team and had crowds cheer and heard his name, and that was over. At least in the form. It wasn't that I stopped playing, but it's something that life deals all of us regardless. And the
That's
question,
really interesting because if I hear you right, you had an identity waiting for you when the season ended and the new season started that you didn't almost think about. It just
correct.
flowed for 4 years and then crashed into, uh-oh.
Yeah, more than 4 years, because even the teams before, from my junior high or even the local leagues, they still had uniforms. They still had teams. They had those pieces of self tied into it. And, I wasn't the best, but I was a starter. I was a regular player on all those teams. It was just, yeah, I'm good at this. You start hearing labels, natural athlete, et cetera, these types of things. Yeah. And yeah, when it ends and it's sharp. And you hear about that on a professional level too. It's why some athletes hold on so long, well past their prime, right? Because even other people could say, oh, you could do this, you could be an announcer, you could be a coach, you could be that. They're like, yeah, but I don't want to. It doesn't matter how successful they might be, until anyone, whatever it is, that's just one example, comes to the acceptance that a certain thing has ended, and that there's more out there for them. They're going to be stuck in that place of missing the man.
And your dad, how do you think your dad fit on that spectrum as
I don't think he's over it today. There's a piece of him that's still very sad and very angry and very frustrated that he can't drive, that he can't play golf, that he can't go to the casino when he wants to. It's another thing that came up in the third film, Starkly, which was, he said, if I can't have my independence, I don't know if it's worth living.
that was
He said that,
that was a strong moment. Yeah.
and it was, a moment that made me stop and take a gulp because I couldn't believe how starkly he put it, but he was very clear. And my dad's one of those, not a lot of words, but when he says it, he means it type.
Yeah.
So to that end, that's Missing the Man. We're going to move on to our next song. because there are several. In fact, there's more than the three we're going to hear today, but these are the select three. This is a different look at Dad, and a different part of the film. That first song comes somewhat around the midpoint. This is really toward the end of this film, when we're looking at a certain stage of what we've been through ending. And once again, the idea of loss and how will we deal with said loss. The stage is the resurrection, which necessarily means a death, the loss of something in the hero's journey. And so that's what we're dealing with here, with the literal loss of our favorite team, the Oakland A's, and our identity as Oakland A's fans is a part of that. So we're going to take a look at the song. It's about half of the song that's used in the movie, but it cuts to the point pretty quickly. Here we go.
That on this day, September 24th, our Oakland A's say goodbye to the Coliseum.
We reached the last part, the end of the line. Our dreams complete and frozen in time. The feeling is numb, there's gotta be more. The final out goes up on the board. I ask you one thing that you want now. More time together, though it's not allowed. The scoreboard fades, but one thing is clear. In every moment, Dad was here. Dad was here in every throw, in every cheer, in all I know. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd, he taught me to stand up tall and proud. Yeah, the roads will end and the lights will fade, but our love's a field where memories are made. So here's to the man who taught me the game, who gave me the courage to play through the pain. Dad was here and always will be. Our journey's forever a part of me.
There we go. Yeah. Go ahead, Karen.
I'm so glad I got to be there, even though I was hiding while they took half of those pictures, so I wouldn't get in the way. That section, that same section that I sat with my parents years ago and getting ready to rewrite different parts that's going to be in. I'm so glad I got to be there.
I am glad you got to be there.
And I got to spend a lot of time with your dad that day, just me and him a little bit too, while you were trying to run around doing things for everybody. And I just, yeah, it just sucks. It had to be, the beginning was the end.
Yeah.
Of that part anyway, but you've got it. And I know you've got more footage of it than that. And I'm glad. Yeah. I hope to see it one day.
Well, this is another piece of acceptance, right? I mean, no matter what we feel about it or wish otherwise, the A's ownership, who have the legal right to do so, chose to leave.
I'm glad my parents didn't have to be here. My parents have passed, but I'm glad they didn't have to watch that happen.
Yeah. Wow. You talk once again about identity. For my dad and I, that, for 40 plus years of identity as A's fans, again, wearing a uniform, not a dark suit, but the green and gold this time. And the identity a fan takes on with a team and often a building where so many memories are had, where so many, connections are made, not just to the game, but to the people all around you that are, everyone there is outwardly seeking and, wants the same thing, the green and gold, to do something magic. We're just praying for it to happen. And it did. It happened all the time. And that's, we saw that, we felt that, we were a part of it, and then it ended. And that was it.
It was just the sold out crowd of the River of Green and Gold. It it was magical in many ways.
So when we say Dad was here, the origin of this, for many songs, what happens to me is I get kind of a flash of a piece, often the title or the hook. And I saw the words "Dad was here" on a fence post, almost like someone would write, Kilroy was here, or, whatever. It's an identity, it's a proof of life type of thing that we matter. There's that word again that my sister brought to me, and we heard so much in the Stand By Me class. But it's just telling the world, yeah. And I think that's the invocation of the song too, is Dad was here, to make sure that we remember always the many things that Dad brought, and that's once again the hopeful universality of this. Isn't about my dad, Dan Cochran. It's about the dads we all have. And just like no one's Parkinson's the same, no one relationship with their dad is the same. They're complicated often.
Oh yeah.
And change from when you're a teenager to
that's right.
before and after. Yeah.
That's right. And finding some kind of clarity about how you're going to hold all the different pieces of that relationship, to me, becomes one of the most important things in adult life. And that's why I've spent 25 years working on it, because my dad's and my relationship was very different, growing up to what it became, not in a good or bad way. It was just different. We knew each other on a much more surface level, loved each other, of course, but, got forced to be a lot more intimate in terms of talking about things that I don't think he ever would have wanted to have talked to. My dad's, very kind of stoic man, but he was generous enough in his vulnerability to open up. And once again, it became about the space, which was often a ball game,
Ballpark, right?
That's it.
or the road between the ballpark, right? Road trips and ball games, pretty good spaces for conversations that matter, that can change you entirely. I never knew. And all of a sudden, it's the old line, once you know, you can't unknow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have what you two had. I didn't have a national team in the town I grew up in, and I didn't have an affiliation with any particular sport other than watching football games on TV with my brother. And so to live through these last few years with you guys as the A's made that decision, and the whole community fought it, and you guys were, I mean, before we knew you, Karen, and when you came on and you sounded like him, it was like, wow.
That was the best times with my parents. It was in that
yeah.
That was the best times I had with my parents, and it's also something my older siblings didn't get. That was just something that we did. They had my parents had different phases, but that was.
And that happens, in families with different ages of kids and stuff. The fact that you saw the metaphor, Robert, of the stadiums and the bond with the work, if you will, or the interactions that you've had with your dad since his Parkinson's diagnosis, it's a beautiful thing in this song. It's a song about baseball.
Well, Dad and I have the privileged point of view of having to, in a snapshot, having been to all 30 parks. There's a number that very different. And in fact, even when we went to see the 30 in 2004, I think 6 of them had been replaced, from the 1990 and 1991 journey. So over 13 years. And, since 2004, probably another at least 6 or 7 have been replaced. But what I can say is, these stadiums do reflect their community. They become, once again, a mirror of who the people are, why the place matters, I think of, our first visit to old Milwaukee County Stadium, well before, the Miller Stadium, which came up in, I think, 2004. I think it was a brand new stadium, 2003, 2004. Dad and I walked in, and you could see the chicken wire where some of the concrete had peeled away.
Oh,
And you could smell, I mean, the smell of the onions and peppers and sauerkraut was baked into the walls. It
really?
was just, God, the food was just mouth dripping. Um, Milwaukee fans, and I mean, their stadium just reflected that of them, soaked in suds and sauerkraut and bratwursts, and it was just an unbelievable thing. And many parks still carry that. Fenway and Wrigley, of course, are the oldest, and to the great wisdom of those people who have fought to keep those stadiums what they are. Yeah, they've been renovated, but they're still there. Someone who went to a game. Yeah, well, the physical location is there, right?
Mhm.
I mean, someone who went to the game 50 years ago shows up at Fenway today. It's going to look different, but it's still, yeah. I mean, you could sit on the Green Monster now. You didn't used to be able to do that, but the Green Monster's still the Green Monster,
Mhm.
and same with Wrigley, right? I mean, the ivy is still the ivy along the brick wall, um,
Well, the Coliseum too. Yeah, they changed the back, and that, but that
Doug
gate,
Davis, yeah,
that gate was still there, and that's the same gate my parents and I went in and out.
yeah, and walking across, the BART tracks, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
all that's the same.
I mean that whole part of it, that it was
And
built right
it
there.
was that long ago, not quite, yeah, that long ago that I did it last to that day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Robert, the first time I came to visit you, and you took you took me on the BART to the airport in Oakland, and I was going to this, and you were going that way. But when the train drove past the stadium, you told me about going with your friend Johnny
yeah,
O to like 40 games in 1 year or something.
yeah. 44 in one summer.
I mean, that's just
It's
that's
insane.
obviously huge for you to have done that and remembered it enough to
It
take that.
wasn't a plan. It just started happening. We just started going, and then it was like, call it was kind of a stand by me thing, the way those boys were just hanging out in the, playing cards. We just wake up the next day. What are you doing? Nothing. What are you doing? You want to go to the game? Sure. Let's go to the game. You want to go to the game again today? Yeah, let's go to the game. I mean, it was $3 to sit in the bleachers. And, you go to the game, come home, then you probably had to go to work. We both worked at the same place, and making burgers at Fuddruckers. So you'd make enough money to go to the game the next day.
But
And it was just,
I was sitting in that same section 9 rows back while you were right around the bleachers. I was sitting down there with the Heaths.
yeah.
Spot.
And it was, I mean, it was part of the identity. And so, Dad, when we say Dad was here, as it says in that song, he didn't have the same affinity for baseball that I did as my dad of that era, because he was busy with work, other things. He recognized by the end of my time living, here where I'm back now in this house, that oh, this means a lot to Bob. In fact, he, trying to become a ESPN Sports Center guy, and I want to connect with my son, especially now that he's gone. He's going to school down in San Diego. And so he says, here's something we can do. We can start going to ballparks together, and that's going to meet your life, down the road, and it's going to provide us time to have something special. And there wasn't some big plan beyond we'll go to 30 somehow. And we didn't. We went to 7. And it wasn't until the opportunity of Parkinson's and rewatching Field of Dreams that, oh, we have to go, right? Once again, like in the old storytelling, the stakes got raised. The diagnosis was there.
Yeah.
Then comes the film, the cinema therapy. It shines the light back on me that I'm Ray and Dad is John Kinsella, and I don't want the tragedy of having to need magic to get Dad out of the cornfield. I want to take him to the cornfield, and we did. It was a force of nature thing. Nobody was asking us to do it.
It
You know,
was such a gift that your father.
yeah,
That's one of the most beautiful parent stories I know.
yeah.
He said, "I, both of you." I mean, he asked, said, "Let's do this."
I'm going to show you I care.
Yes, I just love that. Could we talk about maybe one of the last lines of the song that is real important to me about the courage to play through the pain?
Yeah.
Um, that's not something I have a lifetime of doing. I and I'm interested to know how he did that.
I think by example. I think, that I mean, my sister and I talk about, the work ethic that dad instilled in both of us. And it wasn't like he sat us down and told us, here's what you do. He was a guy who was very reliable. He showed up. He provided. I don't know how much of it was his military training, but he was very disciplined. Um, he'd have he still loves to drop sayings, what was it? Prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Failing to plan is planning to fail.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, he'd have these kind of poetic isms out there, but more than that, when he wasn't feeling well, he still showed up, and there were times, and I'll give an example. Dad, he hurt his back. He was very athletic, and he's part of the running craze. And when he hurt his back in the late 70s, I mean, part of him was just kind of sullen, upset, but he didn't stay there. He couldn't be an athlete for a period as his back was healing, so he taught himself to cook, and really specifically to bake.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
Nobody taught him. My mom didn't show him, whatever. My mom was very capable of cooking the way she was and very good at the things she did. But dad had it in his head and just thought, here's something interesting. I'm going to learn to make pizza. I'm going to learn to make bread. I'm going to learn to make pasta. And,
He
this
started
was,
feeling sorry for himself.
yeah. And culturally speaking, men in the 70s didn't necessarily spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And dad didn't care about that. And he became known.
So that kind of stigma, he did not allow it to attach to him. Like other people may judge that, but I don't care. I want to learn to cook. I'm going to teach myself to cook.
There was something I remember as saying, I don't know if it was a book or something, maybe you remember, real men eat quiche.
Oh yeah, don't eat quiche.
Oh, you don't eat quiche.
Yeah,
Was that the book? Real men don't eat quiche.
Real men don't eat quiche. Yeah.
My dad ate quiche.
He probably made it.
He was the guy back to the photo in the bar doing this. So you talk about masculinity and you talk about roles, and it was very within his friend group. I mean, yeah, he was an outlier, and he was really okay with that, and he became the provider in that sense. I mean, they did this thing where they would have the Fellers annual golf and poker outing. Ended up doing it like 30 years straight, going up to Tahoe to play golf and go to the tables at the casinos and poker and amongst themselves. But my dad would cook for the whole crew. It started off with like 4 or 6 of them. I think it ended up being like 20 to 30 of them. And dad he was making pizza, he'd make pasta, and that was the deal. They all look forward. Dan Cochran's in the kitchen. And like I say, mom and dad provided a lot of entertainment like that around the house. And he wasn't always physically happy, to do it, but he was always mentally happy to do it and very happy for the result of it. He loved people having a good time, and that he was part of providing that good time.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So
Robert, somebody in your family took a lot of pictures. They're beautiful pictures of your mom and your dad. It's lovely to see how pretty your mom, the young version of your mom. And the
Well,
young,
they were a good team in the kitchen. That's one place they did very well. You
and
know,
on the
Mom-
dance floor too.
and on the dance floor, it's another place. Yeah, they definitely found places to partner. And you know, as host and hostess, spectacular. You know, it's a true skill. And so you know,
And you wove
there's
it all into your lyrics of this
yeah,
song.
you're right.
Yeah,
That's
Karen,
very
right.
true, Karen. And a song we don't have up for today, but that makes sense in that regard is actually the opening track, which is Good Time. And you know, you guys don't have the new track, which is going on the tail end of Good Time, which opens the film in this kind of 1950s boogie woogie piano style, like My Dad Loves Jerry Lee Lewis, is a dedication to having a good time. And that's my dad. My dad wants a good time, not just for him, but he wants everybody. Let's go. He
Nice.
loves the story of when he went to see the Blues Brothers and John Belushi comes out there on stage and wasn't pleased apparently with the audience. They weren't hyped enough for him, didn't have enough energy. Goes and breaks off a couple of backflips, grabs a microphone and says, "Liven up, motherfuckers." My dad loves that. My dad wants a good time. He demands a good time. And so that's where we have the bookend of the film. Though it opens with a good time and it closes with a good time. Very different style of songs
Yeah.
by design. The one that Will and I are working on now, I'm very proud of too. And you'll hear it when you hear it. But it's an important part, Karen, like you said, that this is a Stephen King thing. It all goes in, right?
Yeah.
All of the life becomes an illustration and the art gets to be the paintbrush in that sense. And that's what we've done here. So our last song for today, the third one we're going to look at is the second to last song in the film that wraps up a lot of what's going on. And I want to point to a man who's become a good friend and a research partner now, Bradley McDaniels, with great gratitude for bringing up the concept of demoralization and really attaching it to Parkinson's to give meaning to what it means and feels like to be up against this thing. Demoralization is
have a word for it.
it's an excellent word. It's an
It
excellent
really is.
description.
Yeah, for somebody long before I started this class, I've been trying to explain, and that listening to him speak about it and reading his papers, oh my gosh, somebody's finally looking at that. It's not anxiety, it's not depression, it's something different. And I just love that. Yeah, he's helping. We're all connected this way.
To feel seen, to feel heard. And once again, right, where we put it together, that you matter.
Yes.
That thing that you're holding inside isn't you as crazy. It is, in fact, a thing we can now give life to because we've identified it.
Yeah, and well, the big thing that I heard him say when I watched him in a webinar recently is it's not a condition you can just medicate away.
That's so important. Bradley's so right on with so much of this. And we are brothers of other mothers because it is indeed his mom who has Parkinson's. So we speak
and when
in
he said
similar
that,
ways.
I was just like, oh my gosh, and all over in the chat, just like, thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Really. Anyway.
So manifesting the creative side, because demoralization is one, a big word, and then it comes with all sorts of clinical terminology, which is great and useful and practical. We give it the artistic bent in this movie in several ways. And where it comes to at the end is it's all going to hell. And that feeling is demoralization. It's all going to hell. It's over. It's done. We're heading off to the worst things that can be. And that's how it's going to be forever, forever, forever.
Nicely done.
That's demoralization, right?
Yeah.
The bad times are eternal. And here comes the answer to it, right? And we'll give it to you in the song and then we'll talk about it. Because thankfully it isn't all going to hell and that's that. There's ellipsis. There's a few other 4 words. Whoops, let me go to the song instead of that sheet. Yeah, here it is. This is the one I was looking for. It's all going to hell.
This off, and you can sing along with them. This is Will Townsley.
We've reached the end of our hero's journey. Unsuccessful, maybe, but no one left on a gurney. Though we worked hard and did our best, we did not complete our sacred quest. There is no cure yet. And with 3 little words we learn to accept that things can feel bad, but still our hope is kept intact. Because it's all going to hell, and I love you. Yes, it's all going to hell, and I love you. It's all going to hell, and I love you. Yes, it's all going to hell, and I love you. When things are the worst, sometimes the best is waiting round the corner. It's a mess, yes, and I love you.
Yep. All right. Go ahead.
The best is just around the corner.
Yep.
I mean, there are times with this condition that it's hard to remember that. And then you come out of whatever funk you're in and you look back and it's like, oh yeah, right. It passed. Today's another day. And this song and the lyric is just so genius because it's both, the duality of all going to hell. That's not the end of the world. I love you.
We know it, right? I mean, we know, thank you. We know the power of love, and yet we walk past it all the time like it's common or worthless. And it's just like, no, it's love. It's love. Every time it's love.
Yeah. That's
Talk
it.
about that. Really, Robert, talk about that a little bit.
It works. It's just, we know it in improv from the play place. The old rule is whenever you're lost, fall in love. And this is, as much as improv is a testing ground for thoughts, feelings, emotions, practicalities, really, it works. So if you needed a lab to say, does love work? Go to improv and play love games and watch what happens. It works. And what I mean is it works. Watch the effect of the people who are playing. And if you want to put it on stage, watch the effect of the audience. They respond to love every single time. We cannot get enough of it. Gonna have to face it. You're addicted to love, Robert Paul.
Yes, right there. Right there. And accepting that it can all go to hell sometimes and letting yourself experience that rather than trying to push it away and deny it like it doesn't matter. It opens the door for finding finding who and what you love on the other side.
That's right.
You can't deny either one.
Well, and maybe not on either side, maybe right there in hell, because I think that's what the song's saying. Yeah, it is going to hell, and I love you. Guess what? Let's hold hands as we greet Satan. Fine. If that's your real fear, go there. Just know you're not going alone.
It takes. At least we're not alone.
That's right. We're going with love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we are all going. That's the acceptance. It's hard.
Yeah.
We're all going to die. And again, this is where the beautiful Buddhist stuff comes in that I enjoy so much is, the idea is to try to eliminate suffering, right? Accept that it's going to exist, but how can we, keep it to a minimum, as it were? And suffering so many times is about attachment. Suffering so many times is about writing narratives that don't exist, about creating our own personal hells, prisons, traps, relationships, beliefs. We create those things. They aren't really there, and yet we accept them because of our neurology, our trauma, our social conditioning. And yet, once again, once we accept that it's not if, it's when things all go to hell, because they do and they will.
Yes, when, definitely.
We have love. Okay. I mean, that's where the playfulness comes in. And, a little inside poker on this, that, the movie Spam-A-Lot, or I should say the Broadway play Spam-A-Lot, has that same idea, right? With, the always look on the bright side of life, right? I mean, that song is brilliant because they didn't complete their sacred quest either. They didn't get the Holy Grail, which was, again, we totally great, good artists steal, great artists, good artists borrow, great artists steal. I'm ripping that off. Yes, of course, they weren't the first ones to use the Holy Grail. I'm telling you, we're after the cure with this movie.
Yes.
We didn't achieve that. And I love you. It's because it's not about cheapening the effect or worrying about being a person chasing windmills. I can be the man of La Mancha and know that I have first followers chasing windmills with me. To recognize that the activity is worthwhile.
Yes.
Not sit in your chair and take your pill and do as you're told.
Yeah, that
Oh
affirmation.
my gosh, no. Yeah. Right there. You don't have to settle.
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Susan.
It's so cool, Karen, because you haven't. You've found yourself and found agency. You, Karen, in growing, not settling. And yeah.
I love and I love everything about this. And yeah, it's what it is. And you can't save yourself or anybody else unless you learn how to love yourself and love everybody else. And that's all I've ever wanted to be and do, long before Parkinson's was a thing. And yeah, part of why I call my Parkinson's a blessing, because I wouldn't have found all of this and you guys and been a part of any of it had it not been. And
so there's the self-efficacy.
Yeah.
Right. And there is, again, I what I don't want anyone to hear in that is to cheapen what you said, Karen, to go, oh, well, then I guess Parkinson's was a good thing. That's not it. It's what you've done with, the diagnosis, because the Parkinson's isn't the good thing. The acceptance to yes and the diagnosis, and be an explorer and be active and really demand more.
Yes, and to now thank you the gift of having a term of what I was stuck in for longer than Parkinson's has been a part of my life. Really, I mean,
but you had to show up to learn that term. You went to the seminar. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm just so glad there's finally a name for it, and I hope it gets trumpeted to the rafters so more people understand what they're up against and what they're stuck in. And a pill's not going to fix it.
This is one of those things, back to what you said about what Bradley said, that a pill's not going to fix it, that, people might be confused by the term demoralization. They might be confused by the clinical explanation, but I don't think they're going to lack an understanding for it's all going to hell.
Exactly.
I think that's going to really, I know what you mean by it's all going to hell.
Oh, yeah.
Since there's no pill for it, what do? Well, I love you. Oh. Right?
Oh.
I mean,
that was what happened for me, because I heard it's all going to hell by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I love you. It's like, what?
Well, you remember I told you about it. I was so excited about it when it came to me.
Yeah.
Because it was another one that came to me. And the song went through, like all of these, none of these just came out and I was done. They took multiple revisions, iterations, and rewrites, pieces would come, and then we try and no, and try and no, no, it's okay, and try and better. And then, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden it clicked. And Will is such a, you talk about having, a beautiful language. I can speak music to him in ways that he understands that I don't know anyone else would. And it has to do with our relationship. And I have a hard time even describing other than to say what I put forward, he almost always says, gotcha, and sends me back something that is minimum 70% what I wanted it to be, a lot of times more. And that's incredible because we're not speaking straight language. We're speaking colors and sounds and, emotions. And somehow it comes through. And sometimes I have to do line reads. Sometimes it's like, I don't have the voice he does. So I'll say, here's what it should sound like, and now you make it sound pretty. And he does. And he sometimes interprets things even better than what I hoped. I was like, oh, you elevated that material. That was, you went beyond.
You can see that, Robert, in the film, that the little clips we just played. You can see on Will's face that he is living that. He gets it. He's not singing a song. He's living.
He mentioned he loves Broadway, and this, of course, has the intentional Broadway feel to it. Interestingly, the first one of the later passes he gave to me close to the final, he was playing the setup that you saw, but he was singing and kind of looking, off here as he was singing. And I said, no, Will, I need you to look here.
Yeah.
And that changed everything because you're hitting all the notes, but we can't connect with you here.
Yeah.
When you say, because it's like, oh. And just like the line where, we cut to you, Susan, in the audience, there is no cure yet. And that word is a big one to you. You've hit me several times on that and things we've done where I remember back to when I wrote Acceptance and about, there is no cure. And you have, Robert, you have to put yet in there. You have to. You demanded that. Why? Why did you demand that?
We need it. We deserve it. It is out there somewhere, and we can't give up and stop.
It's our ribbon of hope.
And there's a belief built into it beyond hope.
To a demand.
So
making it a demand.
When I'm talking to someone, I'll use the expression for which there is no cure yet. I just can't say it without finishing the thought. Thank you.
That's how I explain it to people. I knew people I meet. This is, they can't understand my passion. And a lot of times people that don't have kids, people that have kids get it, but people that don't have, they don't understand my passion. And I said, well, for lack of other things that I've wanted to do in life, I'm just going to be here doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to help find a cure for this, or I'm going to die trying.
There you go.
It's I don't tote the Mother Nature thing quite so much anymore like I did, even though Anna was all into introducing me that way at the retreat. But that part of it, I'm still very, adamant, loud, and upfront with. No, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and try to help find a cure for this, or until it's either cured or I'm not here anymore. This is my purpose. And thank you guys for giving me the oomph to get out there and do it.
So two things. The yet thing, once again, encompasses demoralization, right? That's the reason why there's yet, so we don't get lost in demoralization. And the second part, Karen, you hit on something just there that is another song that, again, like Good Time, we're not going to listen to right now, but is an important song in this as well, which is Raise It Up, which was my high wire, kind of rock and roll piece, which is vocally challenging on purpose. And, that you talk about, you're not going to shut me up. I'm going to keep being here. The lines in that song go, ever been told that you're too loud? Ever been told that you're too much? Ever been told to shut your mouth? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I
Raise it
hear
up.
where you got those lyrics too over the last couple of years, and you did that's another good one that I can't wait to hear more evolutions of. Please.
It is, and I mean,
Yes,
it's just working on it today. Will and I have done more work, and when we talk about raising it up, that's who we are, right? That's success stories, and that's so important to remember. I can't say enough about. I daily hold this thing like it's a talisman. It makes me feel so good that it's real, that we created this. Yeah, this physical thing that I can hold. And I really loved what Amy said, like a piece of art, like a coffee book or something. Just open up to anything, go, oh my God, remember Tom's The Last Edition? So good. Yes. And I'm immediately happy,
That's it. That's it.
Um,
It's the reminder when I wish I had
raise
more
it up.
people to show it. Yeah, I wish I had more people to show it to,
Well,
physically too.
we will. We will.
But,
I mean, there it is.
I
Yeah.
want- I didn't want to be left out.
I don't want it hanging up because then I can't do this,
Yeah, right. That was Amy's point, right?
Yeah,
was that it
exactly.
really,
It's
and
much
I
more
So-
get it.
to ponder.
So Robert, pick yours up so we have all three of us here.
You bet. So we're all success stories together. Because this is a manifestation not that long ago, kind of like this movie is so important, right? I'd say probably as late as August. We shot this film in October, but as late as August, Susan, you tell me, you were still wondering, Robert, what are you doing? What are you doing with Third Base? I mean,
It was October 3rd that you shot it, and it was probably October 2nd, 1st.
you're still wondering, what are you doing?
And like my endless query when I first met you about the relationship, the impact of improv on
Yeah.
Parkinson's, you wouldn't answer that question either. I don't think you knew. You finally admitted to me that the reason you wouldn't explain the impact was because you didn't know either, and you were in
True.
the process of finding out. I think that was true about
You
October
didn't go an
3rd.
hour before the thing happened.
True. Well, whether it's improv as a program or the program that we shot that night, you're right. And the brilliant part about the confidence, I guess, for Boys of Summer Third Base that night was I was, number one, I was leaning on the guy that we've heard 3 songs from. I said, I know I think there's probably 6 or 7 songs in the film. I've got 6 or 7 highlights. Okay. If nothing else works, these songs are great. And in the opening frame, I have the 7 scary words where I just give permission to myself and the audience to sit in I don't know. And I just can't say enough how important it is, back to your point, Susan, of, you wanting an answer and me finally getting comfortable with being able to say, I don't know. And the 7 words being, I don't know what's about to happen. That is very powerful. That is the place that says, I'm open to what's next. That is the place that says, if I know, then I'm contained and constrained. If I don't know, I can tap into everything around me. Anything could be part of what's now. I don't have to own it. I just have to, like the beautiful moment in Kung Fu Panda, right? Take the raindrop and roll it around and let it flow with it, right? It was never mine. However, I can highlight it, let the light bounce off of it, taste it, and then release it.
That's awesome. And what it also does when you're teaching a live class, it frees, or a Zoom class, it frees up all the rest of
Absolutely. Everybody has it all around them. We're all tapping into
There's a
much
forgiveness
bigger.
before the fact.
100%.
Acceptance before the fact.
Acceptance, because the only thing, like I said, the only failure would be quitting. The only failure would be not showing up. It's to allow the emotion of whatever comes with perceived failure, shame, frustration, sadness, fear. If that overwhelms you to the point where you're no longer there, you turn off the camera or you go away. That's the only perceived failure. It is the beauty is the failure is, yep, look at me. My pants just fell off. ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. And we're laughing with going, I know, because my pants have fallen off too. And I've been vulnerable, naked,
Yeah.
exposed.
Yeah.
And that humanity is gorgeous, the courage to live it in front of others. That's
Well,
what we're
that's-
after.
Yeah.
Yeah, waking up in the morning, I don't know what's about to happen, or going to bed at night, I don't know what's about to happen. But somehow it with everything that I've been going through the last couple of years, it frees me to be open to the possibilities.
There
Where
it is.
before I would have been stuck in paranoia and not willing to transition at all. But
And that's the opposite of demoralization.
Yeah. Yeah, but those 7 scary words, yeah, they're 7 scary words, but they're also a leaping point. At least I've been able to turn it into that.
So what I want to say to everybody watching this, and boy, God love you if you hung out for the whole hour and 15 or so we've been talking. But what I want to say in wrapping this up is, this is a sneak peek at not just the movie Third Base, which will premiere in Phoenix, the World Parkinson Congress in May. It's also Shortstop, which is available now. Contact me to get your screenings. But even more than that, I really see Boys of Summer as a metaphorical movement, an invitation to join, once again, this burgeoning army of success stories, to write your own, to become something bigger than yourself, to tap in the way we've expressed it with each other to more. I was just talking today with a dear friend, Christine Haythorne from the Parkinson Foundation of Western Pennsylvania, where I'm proud to be a keynote speaker in April, about that exact thing. She said how often she, being the president for quite a while of this chapter, sees people pass and recognizes how much she didn't know about them until she hears their eulogy, and how tragic that is. Wow. Because I would have loved to have shared that, and they've put a bigger spotlight on trying to get to know each other before they pass. And that's where I yes-anded that to say, here's the thing. If you're just asking people to talk about their lives in literal terms, they don't know either. None of us know the effect we have on others. It is the brilliance of aesthetic distance that allows us to tap into the world in a bigger way, that invites the world to see us in a bigger way, because we brought back something sacred with this larger vision. That's what aesthetic distance and the right truth in fiction does for us. We capture the world in a larger scope that helps others lean in, become part of. And then, not that it's about this, but then look at you and go, you're a god for bringing light from the cave. That's what you've done with this story. You've reflected a piece of humanity in a fresh way that is both familiar and satisfying. And that's what, that's when people say, oh, I didn't know that about them. Well, they didn't know that about themselves. Karen, you didn't know anything about what Wendy has taught you until you dove fully into Diamond Pitch. Just as you, Susan, didn't know anything about Ellie and Harmony until you allowed her to really speak and gave her her voice. And both of you empowered these characters to become, co-writers with you, co-authors of these beautiful worlds you've created.
Yeah.
They're bigger pieces of yourself that I can't wait for the world to see those things and then look at you and go, how the fuck did you write that?
I know. Yeah, right. I'm already getting that.
Just what it's done for us too, both of us. I mean, you say that I'm not the same person. You aren't either, Susan. Really, we the way we've put this together, and I wish I could spout it off the top of my head, but I think it was Jackie Robinson. It's the life you. How is it? Do you know that quote off the top of your head, Robert?
I'll paraphrase. A life is not valuable except in what it means in service to another person.
Yeah, how it affects others, and boy, seeing all these different, things ripple out and ripple back, a lot of my words that I put out and come back remixed. I love you guys. I love being a part of all of it. And thank you.
Remixed. I like that. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
because it's baseball and it's Jackie, we want to get it right.
Yeah.
A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives.
That
It's the opening quote of Shortstop.
I know. I was thinking about that. It's like,
there you go.
Jackie played a big part because of what he meant to Giuseppe as a young fan, and us getting some Jackie Robinson memorial gear at Dodger Stadium, which was incredible. And you talk about a man's life that shone light in a much bigger way. I mean, there's a reason why Jackie's story is still one of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
He did the impossible in such ways.
Yeah.
And so for all of us who live in fear of the impossible or the demoralized state of it never will be, look at none other than Jackie Robinson. Okay.
Go. There you go. And I want to be one of those people that says, too, that all of us could, because of that calendar, we can be those people that people look at and say, wow.
Well, it's funny because I don't need that for me. It's exciting to discover it happening. I'm not trying to become anything. I'm so living in the moment and seeing and experiencing more.
Yeah.
I think it would be a mistake to try to actively become something other than, what you have become, yes, Andy and Karen, is someone who speaks the truth more clearly with higher stakes. And that's the storytelling part of you coming to life, because when a story isn't true, and by that I mean that it's sitting around the fringes, or you're not
rainbows and butterflies.
Only, not that they don't exist, but it's only them,
right?
It's saccharine sweet. That doesn't feel true. People don't look at that and they go, it's not life. You might paint that picture for a 3-year-old for a period of time, but I think even at some point that's bad parenting too. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes. Yes.
So, there is kindness in truth telling, even if it's hard truth to be told, and stake setting. This has to happen because, and you put the time on it, and you put the meaning behind it.
Washing that stuff for you as you're growing up, you think it's normal, and in my case, it's what I thought kind of was my place in the world, to offer that to the world, because there is so much innate joy. And it was up until now when I'm writing that I realized I've done myself a disservice by being so generous that I was sort of dishonest with myself about how much something hurt, or how hard it was, or how exhausted I was, and I wouldn't want to disappoint somebody else.
It's very similar, it strikes me, to joy in the first Inside Out only being joy presentationally, right? And what a difficult life she led, that everything was always joy. And she was going to get anger to be anger only within the scope that she would allow, and fear to only be there what it would allow, and sadness pretty much not at all. Go stand in your circle, right? Yeah, you have roles to play, but only in as much as I say.
Yeah.
And that was an immature joy.
It felt so joyful and wonderful and delightful to be that person.
Sure.
It really, and then in the back of my consciousness, there's stuff that doesn't fit in to this beautiful picture.
And what to do, right? Do you accept it or do you deny it?
What to do.
Right.
I didn't even know how to stand up for myself, because I always, things went around me or whatever.
Because back to identity, if you're not joy, who are you? Wait a minute. We can't accept non-rainbow and unicorn Susan, because that's who she says she is, and that's who we need her to be to have her role played. And none of us are just role players. Sure, we wear masks in places, but if we're always wearing masks, the skin underneath it begins to rot.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Right.
I did it to myself. I mean,
Yes.
people didn't um, disallow
Right.
anything for me. But if I went through life being naive and accepting when I should have said, hey, that wasn't fair. That was mean. That hurt.
And then the truth is maybe it was, and then what? And then, now what are you going to do with it being mean or not fair? You're going to, hopefully from an agency standpoint, say, okay, well, here's what's okay or not okay, right? And become the bigger person.
Oh, and it needs to be both halves. We don't just get to say, and I love you. We have to say it's all going to hell.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because that's what the
Exactly.
truth is. And I mean, they're both.
Yeah, because really love without the acceptance of it going to hell is the saccharine kind of love too. We've got to be able to accept it is all going to hell, that we are, I don't mean that when we die, we're all going to hell. I just mean
No.
metaphorically
It's
that
falling
things
apart.
emotionally feel like they're falling apart because our bodies are falling apart, our looks are falling apart, our identities are falling apart. Will you still love me when I'm 64, 74, 84?
Oh,
Right?
yeah, that song. That
Right.
song.
That was
Yeah.
11 years ago for me.
The answer is yes. So thank
I
you.
can't believe that. Especially after meeting you in person, I think you're fooling all of us, and you're in your 50s too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Really, really. I mean, yeah, you've got some energy that you'd never know that you're not the same age as we are.
Well, I want to say thank you to both of you for this wonderful time, and invite our audience that's watching this now to join us for the screenings that are happening of Shortstop between now and May. Your support group, your university, your local group of any kind is welcome to have these screenings. I will, time pending, be there for a Q&A to help offer some of the love and light that come from these films, some further context. And then when we have the premiere of Third Base, for which you heard some of the songs today, there will be a public screening of that the Friday before Father's Day. And that'll be the opportunity for everybody to come in, just like James Earl Jones told Ray they would come. Oh, they'll come.
Oh,
That
no.
you can come to watch. Even if you can't make it to the World Parkinson's Congress in May, you can come to the virtual screening premiere of Boys of Summer Third Base and experience not only those 3 songs we've shared today, but an awful lot more. And we look forward to having you.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Be well.
Thank you.
Wonderful.